Hi, this is Valerie.
And this is Benny.
And we are here to introduce the next couple of podcasts where we speak to our mom and dad.
Yeah, so we're doing special podcasts with Wholehearted Living. We're really glad that you're with us, for those of you that are regular listeners. But we did something for the very first time. We had guests.
Yes, and this week we have my mom on, and we talk about the way she lives wholeheartedly, but we never really addressed that title. We never talked to her.
We never said, actually, Mom, tell us how you live wholeheartedly. So we want to do something special for you guys right now by introducing this, letting you know that it's a little bit different. In just a few seconds, we're going to go right into our normal podcast, and we hope you really enjoy it. We actually, that was a lot of fun.
It was.
To interview her. We laughed a lot. And so we really hope that you enjoy it.
Yes, and you can listen to the way she's 82 and she lives her life wholeheartedly.
Enjoy.
Bye.
All right, folks, welcome to
Wholehearted Living with Valerie
and Benny.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
And guess what?
As
you're listening to this, this is our 52nd episode. So we're ending our first year with a guest appearance.
Yeah.
We'll introduce her in a second.
Yeah. For those of you on YouTube,
you might already see her.
See her sitting there. But by the way, this is the podcast where we are siblings, and we one of us comes in with a topic, and the other person doesn't know what the topic is.
Except today we did know.
At this time we did, because we have a special guest. I'm going to acknowledge Iggy, although he really can't say anything because he doesn't have a microphone due to our budget constraints. Hello, Iggy. Thank you. And but anyway, how are you?
I'm super good because it's summer break. But you know what I did today? Something I've been wanting to do since spring break?
No.
Is I cleaned all of my windows inside and out and all the screens.
Oh, there's nothing like doing that. I actually do clean our windows.
Oh,
Peter?
Our
windows come off.
Peter, did you hear?
she wants you to know that I clean the windows.
He does a lot of the other stuff.
I take them off.
What do you mean?
Well, we're on the second and third floor. How else do you clean them?
A ladder.
Oh, what drugs are you on? I just take them off, and then they pop off on purpose.
Mine don't pop off, but I am very.
Now tell me the truth. How often do you actually look through your windows? Why does it matter?
Every single day. You don't look through your windows?
I didn't ask you. I do look through my windows. I just am thinking of you.
Every day, all day long. I love my window in front of the sink. Yeah.
She goes into the spare room. She just goes into the spare room. Let me look through this window.
No, I have the windows in all the dining room and then the kitchen and then the living room. Yeah, I like to look outside. I open my blinds. They're always open. In fact, I don't think we ever shut our blinds except our living room one, but they're always open. And then, yeah. And then...
Well, anyway, I'm so glad that you're enjoying your summer break. That's my idea of a summer break.
Well, it started with spring break. Then I said, okay, no, I didn't get to it, so I'll go to summer break. Then I was supposed to do it that first week. And then, I decided to go to the park and the beach and this and that and the other, and never did it. And then every day this week, something else came up. So I said, okay, this weekend. And then just this morning, after we got home from the gym, I'm like, okay, you know what I'll do? I'll just clean all the inside of the windows today. But once I started that and saw the inside clean and still the outside was dirty, I got myself outside. And
so you know what? I actually don't clean the inside very much because our inside windows don't get that dirty, but it's the outside because it rains and then the it gets all dirty.
Yeah.
And that was stupid the way I said that. but you get the point. Well, I was going to tell you. So you guys know my drama about school.
Mm-hmm. I feel so close to you right now.
I know. We are close.
In proximity.
We're so intimate. Oh, okay. Totally different subject. Okay. No, but for school, I was going through a lot of different things, and I had to do some special work, and I'm going to make a very long story short and say today I started school again.
Oh, good.
And so I don't know if it's good, but it's there. I'm happy because I want to be done, but I wasn't sure. There was a bunch of stuff that had to take place. It took place. It finished. I got all the approvals, and now here we are. And so yeah. So now it's time for me to be talking about school every single week of the podcast.
Oh, here we go again.
I know. Sorry. And guess what? One of my classes is that.
I don't know, something to do with marriage and family therapy.
Great guess. Sexuality.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they actually had videos. I don't know what that means.
Oh.
I know. I had to open up some videos. I thought, what are they going to talk about? But I haven't done anything yet. Today, I'm one of those guys that what I do is I download all the PDFs. I put them in a certain place. I even copy all the citations and I put them on that PDF. So if I use that paper if I use that article for a paper, I don't have to go find the citation. I just use that citation. So then I open up all the videos and I put them in this thing and blah, blah, blah. And so suffice it to say, I spent 5 hours getting all that prepped, but that saves me so much time throughout the year because then I just read and I'm done. So anywho, should we introduce our guest?
Yes. So if you can see us, you can tell that she looks a lot like me because she's my mom. This is my mom, Dorley. Our mom.
Our mom. Yeah, remember we're siblings.
Say hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
So we decided to ask Mom and Dad on the podcast. So this is part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is Mom, and then part 2 will be Dad, and that will air the week after this
next
month.
week. Yeah. And so, but we're so glad, Mom, that you came.
I know.
Thank
She's a little
you.
nervous. She thinks,
I'm very nervous.
She's very nervous.
which is so funny because she does. We chat all the time over coffee and bounce off conversation and question, and that's all this is going to be.
I know, but I'm never on TV.
Oh. Well,
Yeah.
people
Well,
are mostly
really,
listening. So
people are mostly listening, and we're not really on TV either. But anyway, honestly, if you're a faithful listener, you've heard about both of these people on more than one occasion for various reasons. And so anyway, we're just very glad that you guys are both here. We don't have enough mics because we were going to start off with both of them in here, and then we're just going to have one of them leave. But next week you'll hear more about my dad. But today, Mom, what we wanted you to do is talk about the scientific nature. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
yeah, we wanted you to tell us about how many degrees is the sun. No, actually, I have a question. I'm going to ask Mom first.
Okay.
Okay, so you guys have to be happy that my mom is here.
Yeah, so everybody cheer.
Okay.
There you go. You guys didn't know we do this in front of a
you.
live studio audience. There you go. Thank you.
Okay, so the first question is just basically about you as a mom with us 3 kids. And I'm going to preface it by saying you cannot say God or Jesus.
Oh my gosh.
No. Let me backtrack.
And I'll
we
tell
want
you
to
why.
Oh, there you go. She's
Yeah,
gonna
I'll tell you why, because I know when I ask you this question, that's inevitably what you would say.
Right.
But what is the most important thing as a mom that you wanted for each one of us kids? And then, of course, I'm going to say God or not. You can't say God or Jesus because I know that would be your first answer.
Okay. My second answer is that I truly, truly wanted you guys to have a good self-esteem.
Oh,
because
yes.
that was something that I struggled with. And so it was very important to me that you would feel good about yourself.
Yeah. So, Mom, talk in the mic.
Oh, okay.
Just make sure. No, no, and I will attest to that because always growing up, you never, ever made me feel less than. And if I didn't do something right, you never said, oh, that's not right. You would always just say, oh, Mija, that's such a good job. Maybe next time you can do this, but I love what you did. Like it was always a positive thing. You never, ever, I mean, for me, maybe you, did she knock you?
No, for sure. Never any self-esteem hits. And I mean, it's funny. I'm surprised by your answer because I thought you were going to give a different answer.
Oh,
what were
did you?
What
What
did
did you think?
I actually thought you would say, I really want, and this is okay that I actually love your answer. I'm just saying, I thought you would say, I really wanted you guys to be happy.
Yes, I actually thought you were going to say that
Oh.
too. That's the third thing. You wanted
Wow.
self-esteem and then you wanted us to be happy.
Well, happiness comes with good self-esteem.
Oh, there
Right?
you go. That's a good answer.
You feel good
Mom.
about yourself. You can accomplish things, and I've always been very proud of you.
Yeah.
And there was
I was surprised too because when we talked to you growing up, you would just say, I just want you to be happy.
Yes.
Well, that has to do with the answer number one that I can't mention.
I get shut. That's awesome. Okay, podcast over.
Okay, mic drop.
Yeah.
Okay, that's so funny. So what do you mean? So, but then it's okay. Talk, Mom. We're not trying to say we don't want you to talk about God. It's just that what we were saying is what's beyond that. So feel free to talk about what you really felt for us for our relationship with God.
Oh, well, I just think back on some of the most important things for me were that I would be home when you kids got home from school. I wanted you guys, I wanted to hear about your day. And the best part was when we'd have dinner. And it would take a couple hours because we would share what we thought. And it was very, usually nobody agreed with anybody else. But it was wonderful, and that was where the self-esteem was coming in because you were feeling good about who you were and your opinions, and that's what
You know,
I
it's
thought was
funny that you said
important.
that because Peter and I had this conversation raising our kids because he obviously came in later when Nicole and Dustin were already like 4 and 6 or what have you. And he, from his upbringing, you know, had a dad who was like, children should be seen, not heard, which was a lot of that generation for sure. But a lot of times when I would let my kids speak, our kids speak their opinion on something, he go, well, the kids shouldn't be talking back. The kids shouldn't. I go, I'm okay. This is how my mom let us be. Like we were able to share our thoughts and opinions on things, but with respect. And then,
Well, I think that's the key because what you just said is, you said Peter said they shouldn't be talking back, and I would say Mom didn't let us talk back.
No,
because we weren't allowed to talk back. If I'm thinking of talk back as
no, but,
disrespectful, like you say, hey, go throw out the trash, and I say, no, I'm not going to throw out the trash.
Right,
that was a bad
and I
day.
get you on that, and I understand that shouldn't be okay.
Right.
But even if they would give their opinion on something because of how he was raised, like he definitely had to keep his mouth shut if it was even a conversation, like if it was a conversation that didn't require an answer.
You loved to hear our opinion, which was weird. I mean, I guess I didn't know any other way. I will say it was fascinating to me because, of course, Patty comes into our family, and when she comes into our family, everybody's just talking, blah, 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 and talking over each other. And Patty was in La La Land because you did not talk. What her dad said was law, and that was it. And you, on the other hand, I think drove the idea that I want to hear what they have to say. And what, you know, what's even bigger to me, I don't know what you were going to say about this, but what's bigger to me about you hearing what we wanted to say, you were interested in it. Meaning it wasn't like you were just like making a conscious decision to say, okay, they should be able to say what they say, but they're just stupid kids and they don't have any idea what they're talking about. I really got a sense that you cared, that you wanted to understand why we were saying. Did you ever feel like we said ridiculous things and go, did you ever feel like, gosh, you go into your bedroom and say, my kids are the stupidest people on earth?
Oh, no, never. Because you were all very smart. But the thing is that I just enjoyed raising you guys so much and listening to what you had to say. And there is nothing more exciting than listening to a child and asking them questions, and you get into their world, you know? And it's a beautiful thing to raise kids. And I was so blessed to be able to watch each one of you. And all three of you were so distinct, very different approaches. And it was very enlightening to me. And the one thing I wanted you to walk away is feel good about yourself, you know?
Yeah.
And so
that did.
Where did you think you got that from? Like, why was it so important to hear what we had to say? What was that?
Well, when I say feel good about yourself, is one thing I've dealt with all my life is a low self-image. And so that low self-image has always been, you know, hard. And it's always made me feel lesser than and concerned about what I say and concerned about being on television. and so, you know, here you are, you've all bloomed into people that have your own, you have your own voice and your own opinion, and it's not
We
all
all
the same.
do.
You do. You're very distinct.
And
all
only one
three
of us is
you.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be your firstborn.
Me. No, I love to sum it all up.
Yeah.
And then give a moral
Yeah.
reason, or if you were incorrect or something I didn't think that you really thought through, that was my
Yeah.
time to chime in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Because I
but
was your first teacher.
Right. You
Yeah,
were. And
for
you
sure.
gave us that space to be able to feel okay to share it all. And then you would either say, okay, I get it. Or you would say, well, you know what?
Yeah.
But
Val,
you-
do you remember when we had a real bad disagreement and we didn't talk for 2 or 3 days because you wanted to stay out later?
Oh.
And I decided 10 o'clock was curfew.
Okay.
And you had other opinion.
Yes.
And so after 3 days, I said, Valerie, let's go talk, and you were ready to do that. And you sat there and I said, Val, I want to hear everything you have to say. And you tell me exactly why you want to stay out later and why.
Yeah.
And so you did. And you just went on selling the idea.
And then
I
you let
said,
me stay out?
no. No. And then I said, you know what, Val, when you raise your children,
Yes.
you can do
Yes.
that.
And my kids had
I
a curfew
said,
of
but
8.
I'm ready. No, I said, it's my family,
Yeah.
my decision.
Yeah. And the funny thing is growing up, you test those boundaries and you are upset about it. But at the same time, real quickly after, you realize I need this guidance. I need this structure and this boundary,
Yes.
I think
Because-
ultimately we appreciate the boundary. I think we talked about this on a podcast a while ago, but yeah, the boundary is important. What's funny is that you could have been perceived as the pushover because of how kind you were and sweet you were and everything. But Dad was the
Dad
pushover.
was the pushover.
So there's no question.
Mom said you're grounded for 2 weeks. We were grounded for 14 days.
For 14
You did not let up
days.
at 13.
Dad said you
would
were
say-
grounded for 6 years, and the
then we
next
were-
day we're getting ice cream. And so,
Yeah. But that was
yeah.
yeah. Okay, let me see. I have another question for you, Mom. I like how we just evolved in that whole thing, but I got to ask this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Will you be voting for Trump or Biden? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God!
Now I'm really going to make
I'm
a
kidding.
statement.
No, I'm kidding.
Ladies
We're
and
not
gentlemen,
even going
ladies and
there.
gentlemen.
We are not going there. Not at all. I'm so funny.
Yeah, look at-
Okay, this is a question I wanted to ask you because this happened to me almost on a nightly basis, and I had you as a mom to either thank you for that or to make me feel bad about it, because I would do my whole daily thing with my kids, and then inevitably I would be impatient, or I would say something wrong to them or whatever, and then I would lay my head down at the pillow and just go, oh Lord, please, please, please let me be a better mom tomorrow. Let me be more patient or whatever. And then I would always be like, God, my mom never did this. Mom never acted like I did, and I can't even live up to her, like as my, the expectation was so high, or not expectation,
right.
the bar was set so high. And so did you ever lay your head down thinking, oh, I wish I would have handled that differently, or not lost my patience? Or
I think about just about every night.
oh,
Really?
Oh,
okay.
yes. I used to say to myself, Lord, just give me patience. Because one of the things I had to deal with, which was difficult, as you pointed out, Benny, is that I was an authority figure and I had to be strong. And that was very threatening to me, especially when I worked in the middle school.
Yeah.
Heard a lot of the language, heard a lot of the disrespect. And so all of a sudden I thought, I really have to be patient with the kids. They're not going to want to do this, do that, and the other. And then for that discussion we can't have, I got my authority back. And I said, you know what? These children were given to me by God. He created them.
Yeah.
And I have the authority and need to raise them in a way that is
Mom,
pleasing
we
to
can have that
God.
discussion. I just didn't want that to be your answer, because
Yeah,
I
I
know.
know.
We're not
know.
trying to say we don't want you talking about
Yes.
God by any means. Feel free
No,
to
but
talk about God.
that's very funny, though.
No, I have to say the thing thing that is interesting to me about the way I'm actually a little bit blown away by that. I don't know if you would have expected that answer because you really were confident. And
Yeah.
I
didn't think that you, yeah.
You shared at different times with me that, that there were times that you didn't know what to do with us. We don't come with a manual. You said those kind of things, and you said, "Oh, it's so great that we were raised in the church, and there was more teachings around how to raise kids and stuff." But I will say, what was interesting for me is that you, I never would have had the impression that you were that every night you were wondering, did I do the right thing?
Well, it wasn't questioning it because, I just had black and white, the things that are right. Disrespecting, and the authority was the Ten Commandments. I knew exactly what was right and wrong. And I was fortunate to be raised in a Catholic home where there was right and wrong. And so it was very important to me. That was very clear. But having the patience, to be able to verbalize it and say it. I mean, I always wanted to, I don't know, every mom wants to be the best mom they can be. So I would go to bed and say, "Oh God, please help me tomorrow.
Yeah.
Be more patient. Help me to verbalize what I want to say."
I'm actually trying to figure out what it would look like for you to be more patient.
I know.
I'm serious. I'm trying to figure out what it would look like. I will say that there were times that you yelled at me, but when I look back on it, I was, I deserved it. It was like you were that back talking thing. You just didn't go for it. It was,
no.
And whenever I'm going to say to you, whenever I did something that I felt like messed you up, I mean, you talk about going to bed and wondering and regretting it. Now, I probably never told you that, but I mean, but honestly, did you feel like that? I mean, I felt like there was nothing worse than disappointing you.
Well, now that brings me to the whole, I had a theory. I said to myself, I'm going to love my kids so much that they're going to want to please me. And when I show that I'm not happy, then they will try to get in my graces. That was the whole thing.
So you didn't really love us.
Yeah. No.
that was
just,
that's
I mean, it
interesting.
was easy to do.
Yeah.
But I just figured, you can buy more. I mean, you can get more, whatever with sweet.
You get more
Nice.
flies with honey than you do
Yeah, that's what I'm trying
than
to
with
say.
vinegar. Than with vinegar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just being
No, and
loving
this is
and
like so
kind
funny
to your
because I remember
kids,
this night. I don't remember you yelling at me that much. I don't know if you did or not. I just don't remember it. But I do
didn't.
remember coming home from. I don't know how old I was, to be honest with you, but I certainly shouldn't have been drinking. And I remember this boy I liked didn't want to see me anymore that night. So somebody had a beer. I don't even like beer. And he gave me a beer. So I drank a beer. And then I came home later than I was supposed to come home. And I walked in the back door and you were standing there waiting for me. And you smelled the beer on my breath I was like, what the heck? I had one beer and you can smell it. But you smacked me. And I was like, oh my God. Like I got teary eyed just because you smacked me. It didn't even hurt. And you slapped my face and you said, go to bed. And then I did. And then we
called DFS on you, Mom.
No,
Just kidding.
It was so funny though, because the next morning was Sunday, and you walked in with Tylenol. I don't know if you thought I was drunk or what, but you came in with Tylenol and said that you might get a headache, so take the Tylenol, and you don't have to go to church if you don't want to. And I was like, now I felt even worse after that. I was like, oh my gosh.
That was very nice of me.
I know. Well, the slap wasn't, but
No, I grabbed you by the hair.
oh, you did that. I
Yeah.
don't remember
Yeah.
that. Oh, never mind.
And
Yeah, I don't think she slapped you. I think, or maybe she did slap you too, but she grabbed you by the hair.
Yeah,
Then
and
she,
then
she gave you a pile driver.
yeah.
Mom has no idea what a
what?
pile. Never mind.
Yeah,
That was one and only time.
Yeah.
I never forgot
Yeah.
I did that. I felt bad I did that, but you deserved it.
I know. I know. I know.
I just that's very true.
But it was just but just all the events following, it was just you still had that kind nature of okay, well, you're probably going to have a headache, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't, but you're realizing.
Okay,
give me the
Mom, I have a
Tylenol.
question, and maybe you've already kind of answered it. So maybe is it okay? Can I ask a question? Do you have more questions?
No.
Okay. My question is, and maybe we're already talking about it, but what would you say was the most difficult thing about raising? I was going to say raising kids. I guess the three of us. What was was there a thing that you would go, this was the hardest thing for me? I stumped her.
I know. Which one was the easiest to raise?
The easiest one?
I was clearly. Everybody knows this.
No, you were all. I just loved my life, and I loved watching my children grow up. And I watched, I just so enjoyed. I mean, being on this podcast is kind of amusing, except for the fact that I'm nervous about it. But no matter where you worked, I had to go see you work.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, no matter where you were
Dad
at.
does that
Yeah.
too.
And
Yeah.
and every game, I had to be there to watch every game.
Yeah.
So it was just a part of watching you mature. So I'm trying to think of what's difficult. I think it's just the anxiety of, like, let's say today, it would be the way the world is today, my grandchildren and what they're being faced with, schools, what they are today. So, those kinds of things. But
But
I
like
never.
us growing up, did you think like elementary years, middle school years, high school, or I mean, was there a
Or even the
times.
three of us, how the three of us interacted. Valerie and well, I'm not going to get into that, but was there anything about that you were trying to navigate?
Gee whiz.
You don't have to have an answer. You can say no, not
If you
really.
don't know,
If you
that's
don't really have one, then it's
I
not
mean,
there.
each one of you was so different. I mean, Benny, when you were little, you were trying to figure out what you wanted to do with your life, and when the AAA guy came, you wanted to see what they were doing, just in case you wanted to be a AAA guy. And then Valerie was always coming to the door with some girlfriend that she had to go play with, and she was completely different. And Stephanie was always active outside with the guys. She just loved activity. And so you were all very distinct, but you obeyed me. Every one of you obeyed me. Whatever I said went. And if you didn't obey me, then there was a consequence. And for the most part, I can't think of too many consequences except that one. Except that time.
When we fought, I know we fought. We had to have fought, and I do remember a few things. But you that's when you're not a yeller. You're like, your voice goes really, really high. And I just remember you going, that is enough, and it was like your voice would get really screechy. But I think that when you said things, we listened. I don't know that there was a lot of battle.
I honestly don't remember ever really battling with you. Honestly, what you said went, and I think the thing that's you taught me. I know I've said this on the podcast, perhaps even more than once, but I remember one day asking you, do you, and maybe I'm wondering if you remember your answer, but I think it was the first time that Ashley, our oldest, went. I think it was a slumber party. I'm going to guess it was a slumber party or something like that. But in other words, she was out of the house for the whole day. And I remember asking you, how do you deal with not knowing what's going on? And do you remember your answer to me?
Well, it probably was I was praying for you.
Yes.
Because,
exactly what it was.
No, because I always said to you, no matter what, since you were little, I said, I won't always be there for you, but God will. So it was very important to me that you had God in your life. So I raised you Catholic. We were there at church every Sunday. And then one day you said, I don't want to go there anymore. And so we ended up going to another church that was a church that we all agreed was, we were learning the Word of God, and it was very active, and you had Christian friends, and it just gave me tremendous peace of mind because I felt I'm not alone anymore raising these kids. They have their friends, they had their youth pastor, and it was just a wonderful thing for me to have that support.
Well, I'll never, ever, ever forget. I kind of remember it being in a car, but we went to CCD every week. We ended up going to different times because you guys were older. You and Stephanie, I think, went at a different time. And then I mean, we went at the same time for a while, and then we went at different times, and then we always went to church on Sunday mornings. And then I just remember that one day, you said, "Hey, we're going to this other church," and we're like, "Whatever, we go."
I was the reason for that.
Sherry's. It was Sherry's
Oh,
church.
I thought
it was, and all
well,
you
'cause
wanted to do is go to any other church.
Well, I
but
spent
the
the
one
You
night
were
we
the
were
reason
going
why we
to.
went to NRC.
I spent the night at Elisa's house, and she said, "Come to my church with me." And so
Elise?
Elisa, and does it matter who it is?
Oh, I know Elisa. I didn't know that she
Oh.
went there.
Not that church. She went to another church.
Oh, okay.
And I came home and told my mom, said, "Yeah, you can go to that church. That's fine." I came home and I said, "Oh my God, this church was so fun. It was like
Oh,
you
right.
actually interacted in the, and you sang these really fun songs, and they
You
were
talked to the pastor.
yeah, it was like so engaging." And Mom goes, "Let's go. We can." Yeah, she said, "I
And
just want you
Sherry-
to
somebody-
enjoy
Sherry
I
what
thought
was
the
somebody
inviting
invited you by
Well,
the
no.
Hartleys.
Well,
Someone
then
by the
that's-
Hartleys invited you to
Sherry
NRC.
invited
But
you
that's what
kids.
happened,
And you
yeah,
said,
then
why
she-
don't you guys said, let's
And
go to
I just
Sherry's
remember that we were
church.
in the car one day, and you said, "Okay, guys," because Dad wasn't going to church in those days, or he was going occasionally. He was a C&E Christian, Christmas and Easter, and so But I just remember that you said. I just remember you coming in the car and you go, "Okay, guys, do you want to go to the Catholic church or do you want to go to the new one?" And we all said the new one.
Yes.
But I will say I remember going to the new one and I freaked out when the pastor was talking about his wife, and I looked at you like,
was like,
"What the hell's going on?"
married.
And then later he said, he goes, "My
Has
kids,"
kids.
and I was like, "What's going on?" And I freaked
know.
out.
Yeah.
And then the
So
other thing I
different.
couldn't stand was we went on Communion Sunday, and at that church, Communion Sunday was longer.
Oh, right.
And man, you can count on a Catholic service being 48 and a half minutes, and
Yeah.
it was over.
It was,
and
yeah,
this thing was like
longer.
an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to
Yeah.
call the cops. but we all felt different in that place. But what blew my mind, I mean, later, not at that moment, obviously I was a kid, but later, what blew my mind was understanding, because you loved God in the Catholic Church. I have nothing, I don't
Right.
bash the Catholic Church. You loved God in the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm.
We were going through the motions.
We did, because even going through catechism and First Communion and all that
Yes.
stuff, it was like, "Oh, this is what we do. This is the next step.
Yeah.
This is But I never really truly knew anything, and that you could actually have an actual relationship with Jesus until we went to the new church.
Yes.
And
There was no
yeah.
connection whatsoever. To me, it was no different than going to school. And
Well,
so
it wasn't until we went to that church that we started reading the Bible. You were studying the Bible with your youth pastor, and then I started reading the Bible. So we started really coming to know who God really was, and who Jesus was, and coming to know him through the Holy Spirit. And
Yeah.
so we received our education, which I attribute totally to God. I said to God, "I need help," and then this is what what eventually
Yeah.
evolved. And I really give him the credit and the praise for it.
well, I do say, but where I don't think I finished this thought, which is, it was gutsy to leave the Catholic Church, and when I look back on your whole family who's still Catholic, I don't think
Yeah.
anybody's left the Catholic Church. So I don't think
That's true.
I
Yeah.
don't think it was like, that's not a easy thing, but for you, it was never about religion.
building,
It was
yeah.
never, it was about God.
That's
and,
right.
And it was like, I
Yeah.
want you to have a relationship with God like I do. And if you're going to get it over there, I don't care what the address is.
But you came out of Sunday school and you said, "Mom, we're learning about God. We're studying the Bible."
Yeah.
And I thought, wow.
Right.
And so I said, well, I'm just going to go into the adult class. So I went into the adult class, and all they did was talk about God and praise him and everything they knew. And I thought, I don't know what they're talking about. And so it was just a new
It's
journey
like
for all of us.
It was for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Because I felt the same way. Just like, wow, I went into this teen group thing, and I was just like, this is so different. People
Yeah.
are like alive and
They're
feeling
excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the biggest thing about the church the first time we ever went was, first of all, it was long, but I was blown away by the whole thing of him having kids and being married. And then the second thing was, it ended and everybody stood up and said, and started talking to each other.
Yeah.
Nobody
You didn't have to
left.
file out like
Nobody
yeah.
left. And I was like, I was literally remember looking around going, what is happening?
Or people were
I thought this isn't permissible. We're in church.
And we didn't have to
Right,
stand up and
yes.
kneel down 1,000 times.
No, that was another thing. That was a big deal. Although that
And you
church
could shake
did
the
have a
hand
stand a
of the
lot.
pastor. You know, you could touch the pastor,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you couldn't do that with a priest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
again,
don't
we don't want to
remember that.
bash the Catholic
It has
No,
nothing
no,
to do with
there's
it.
a
And I will
different
also
custom.
say that our cousin, Veronica, loved one of the Catholic churches. She was here and she totally loved it. And so I also think, just like Christian churches, there's some churches that are, I don't know if the right word's easier to attend than others. And
Yeah.
so I hate it because we shouldn't be treating God like a mall, but we do. And
Yeah.
so, but
I would
anyway.
say they're spirit filled. You know, you can tell there's a spirit in there that is, that speaks of God being real in their lives because they act like He's real. They are, that's where you get your joy and your happiness. And, that's where I knew God would take over
Yeah.
what I couldn't do.
No, and I want to emphasize this. Sorry for any listeners out there, but I have several very godly, wonderful Catholic friends who have a very committed relationship to God, and so I'm grateful
It
for
might have
them
just
in
been
my
our
life.
church, huh?
I do think it was a lot, and I think it's not just the church, but it's the priest who's overseeing it and how they
Well,
run
we
it.
did like 5:00 mass.
Yeah, the
that
evening
one is a
because you
little-
had music.
Yeah, the music
Yeah.
with the guitar and all that stuff. It was a
Yes.
little more chill
Yeah.
versus a very, very structured and I don't know, business
Liturgy.
Yeah, it was just so
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a little different.
Do you have any more questions?
Nope.
Well, so Mom, is there anything that you like, because you had no idea what you were going to do on here, and so it's okay if you don't, your answer can simply be nope, but I'm curious, did you think of anything that you might have wanted to say on this podcast because you had no idea what you were going to talk about?
No, I'm just proud of you kids.
Aw.
I just can't get over the fact that you can get out here every week and do this. It's amazing.
Well, if you haven't
have-
noticed, Benny and I
have-
like to talk a lot.
Yeah.
So we just do it with a microphone in front of
I
our
know.
faces.
Can
now.
I tell you that,
And
Valerie?
I'm thinking of all my grandchildren. All of them are in the arts. They're, they're so gifted.
Yeah.
And so I'm just so proud that all of you, through raising your children with good self-image, feeling good about yourself, have raised your children, and they are fulfilling their goals. And so it's just a real blessing. It's,
No, it's
I
true.
get to look on.
We're grateful, and you and Dad obviously have a lot to do with everything that happened to us and
Oh,
the
I
next
did
generations.
think of something I like to say.
Oh, Mom, I already
Oh, yeah,
asked you. The time is out.
Yeah, goodbye.
We were going to have to
Welcome.
go.
Thank you
Iggy,
for-
thank you so No, I'm kidding. Go.
No, I just wanted to say I'm very thankful that Dad, we had our share of our issues over the years. But through thick and thin, I could be a full-time mom because of Dad.
Yeah.
And he worked very, very hard to make that happen. And 2 jobs and going to school. So,
Well, I
that
remember,
wouldn't happen.
not to keep the podcast longer than we usually like it to be, but I remember that you were home for us all the time, and I loved you being there. You were there when we left for school, came home. You were our softball coach, our soccer coach, whatever it was. You were our manager. You were
Baseball.
you were always there because Dad provided so that you
That's
could.
right.
But I do remember one time you going back to work for a very short period of time, and Benny, I guess,
It was
got
me.
a little bit upset. Like,
Do you remember this?
I miss you being home, and then you quit your job.
I
Yeah.
came
Yeah.
home. I came home and I wept because you were not home, and I literally just started crying. And you, all I know is the next day you were home, and then later I found out you told Dad I quit. So you're like, I'm done, or you went part time. Maybe you
Yeah,
were
maybe
able to go
during the,
part time
half
or
day
something.
or something.
But
You were
you
able to
know,
go
I
half
must
time.
say that it was so fulfilling for me, who dealt with this low self-image and stuff, to be a mom. I mean, I was just the greatest. I was just.
Did you
on
say
top
you were
of-
the greatest mom?
Yeah, I was. I mean,
She has good self-esteem.
Wow, her self-esteem is off the charts.
No, but you guys loved me, and I felt important and special.
Yeah.
And it was a wonderful, fulfilling time in my life. And then you grew up and you left me. It's good.
Yeah.
No, Mom, you were the greatest. There's no question you're the greatest.
And I always say
Very
this in
grateful.
your Mother's Day card. I think I always say it. Like, you set the bar so high, I could never, ever be the kind of mom you were. But it was a very good role model so that on a daily basis, I can go, oh, well, I guess I screwed that one up again. No, just kidding.
No, we are very grateful for you. Many of our listeners have actually heard some of these stories, and because we've talked about how you raised us, and so we're very grateful for you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming, even though
Thank
you were so
you.
nervous.
Thank you so much for coming.
See, that was fun,
I'll
right?
go
That was
sit
fun.
on the
See,
couch now.
It wasn't too bad. So, all right, folks. Well, I hope you enjoyed our mom. Give her a nice applause.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Iggy.
Thank you, Iggy, for keeping us in sound. He can't talk right now, but anyway, we're great. And thank you guys for joining us. We are at wholehearted_living_podcast on the Instagram. And so we'd love for you to click follow, as well as make a comment. If you have anything you'd like us to discuss, we'd love to hear from you guys. Valerie?
Yeah, let us know if you want to hear a guest speaker. We've been talking to Conan O'Brien, and he might come on next.
Yes.
So. I'm just kidding.
Or if you want me back.
Or if we want mom back.
My
if we want
mom
more.
is now wanting more.
We could do part two. We
Mom
could
is
do,
like, hey, I'll come back. That
we
was
could
easy.
do after we left the house.
You guys make me feel good.
All right. Well, thank you for being here. And this is our last podcast. Not our last podcast.
No.
This is this is the last podcast of our first year. And next episode will be the first podcast for the second year
of our podcast of Wholehearted Living. There it is, folks. So thank you for joining us and all those things that we already said. And so we're glad you're here.
All right. Thanks for being here. Bye.
Ciao.